everybody, welcome to the Sunday Sit Down. I hope y'all sitting down because it's a Sunday Sit Down, and I hope you're watching it on Sunday because, I don't know, it makes no difference when you watch it, but welcome to the Sunday Sit Down. If you're new to the channel, the Sunday Sit Down is the specifically motovlogging show where we talk about things not necessarily serious, but a little more in depth, a little more serious. Not like funerals and stuff, but we just, we talk about things. We talk about life stuff. And last week you saw me talk about this Harley that I get to ride again. And this week we're going to talk about something that will probably get me in trouble with my employer. We're going to talk about marijuana laws. Reefer weed, marijuana, Mary Jane, 420, that OG Kush. We're going to talk about that good, that green, that weed, that marijuana. I don't know what else. I don't know what you'd call it. But let's talk about this, because right now we have almost 20 states just in the United States that have legalized marijuana on a state level for either medicinal, recreational, or both. Now, if you don't know, and I don't know how you don't, medicinal means that you have to get a prescription. Now, the states that have legalized it for medicinal purposes only, you do have to go see a doctor and get a prescription. Now, I say doctor because some of the doctors that you can, I've been to California a few times, some of the doctors that you can get a prescription from are, they're like, I don't know, they're doctors in the same way that a homeless guy with a cardboard house is a carpenter. Like, they're not, okay, if you want to call yourself a doctor or whatever, but I don't, whatever. Anyway, so almost 20 states have legalized marijuana for recreational or medicinal use or both. Now, I want to talk about this from a health aspect because that's really the only aspect to which I can speak. I don't smoke marijuana or weed. God, I sound so old when I say marijuana. I don't smoke marijuana. I have absolutely no issue with it. So let's talk about the health aspects of marijuana. Now, if you were raised in a conservative household, as I was, and if you were brought up in the public school system, as I was off and on, you probably heard a lot of crap that wasn't true about marijuana. And I'm going to tell you what I understand to be true up until now. And if there's a bunch of, and I say bunch, if there's a bunch of studies that refute what I'm saying, I'm totally fine with changing my opinion. I have no allegiance to any particular mode of thought. But to my understanding, marijuana does far less damage to your overall body than cigarettes do, which is a big rumor. And people say, oh, well, you wouldn't smoke cigarettes, why you smoke marijuana? Not the same thing, not the same carcinogens. Okay, so that's one. The second thing is it doesn't kill brain cells. I think a lot of people thought that for a long time. And my understanding of marijuana or weed is that it momentarily reduces your short-term memory. So like while you're high, you might not remember everything so clearly, which makes total sense. When I'm drunk, I don't remember everything super great. Okay, so that's the second thing. The third thing is that it's a gateway drug, and I think that's horse crap. I have known dozens of people, dozens and dozens of people that use marijuana on the daily, some of them on the hourly, and none of them use meth. They are all way too mellow to use meth. None of them use coke, none of them use heroin. In fact, a lot of them don't even use prescription pain pills because they don't have to. Oh, this bike sounds so good. So that's the big three. I think that's the big three is it's a gateway drug. No, it's not. It kills brain cells. No, it doesn't. It's bad for your lungs. Not really. It's not going to make your lungs. Actually, funny thing about cannabis is a bronchodilator, which means it opens up your air passageways and it allows you actually to breathe better. Now, I'm not saying that the smoke doesn't have some negative effect, because I'm sure it does, but what do you know? Marijuana actually makes it easier to breathe while you're smoking it or whatever. Okay, so don't be distracted by how unbelievably beautiful this state is during the fall. Now, as far as marijuana goes, I always compare it to alcohol. I think that's the most useful discussion to have, because people who smoke weed like to compare it to alcohol. A lot of my friends that smoke, they like to say, well, at least I'm not drinking alcohol. And I'll tell you what right now, let me tell you one thing about marijuana and your stance on it. If you condone alcohol consumption, so if you think that drinking beer and vodka, whiskey, and whatever else is okay, you have no ground to stand on physically if you dislike weed. If you're one of these people that will like drink a 12-pack or even drink a beer, but thinks that smoking weed should be illegal because it's bad for you, you are outside of your mind, and that is based on just very elementary science of marijuana, okay? So alcohol, besides the calories, besides the obesity, the high blood pressure, the heart disease, the diabetes, all the things that different alcoholic beverages can give you, it can rip apart your liver. It can wreck you. Alcohol can kill you in one sitting, okay? As far as I know, as far as I think the world knows, nobody has ever died from marijuana, ever. Like, I think to die of THC, you'd have to smoke something like 200 pounds of marijuana in a sitting. Not physically possible. So to my understanding, it is physically not possible for a human being to die from marijuana. So but if you're one of these like straight edge people and you're like, you know what, I don't think alcohol or marijuana should be legal, fine. You know what? That's okay, fine. You don't believe in people putting in a foreign substance into their body and altering their reality? Fine, that's fine. But just from a purely scientific perspective, if you are okay with alcohol consumption, if you're like, yeah, it's fine, have some whiskey, have a beer, whatever, just know that is not based on any science. That is only based on your perception of marijuana. That's it. It is a fictional understanding to think that alcohol is okay and that marijuana is somehow worse. The science is just not there. And you know what? I'll tell you another thing. Marijuana is coming back up for a vote in the state that I live in here in Missouri in 2018. I think it's for a medicinal vote, and I hope to hell it passes, because I'll tell you right now, I know too many people that are hooked on opiate pain pills, and this is not going to get into, we're not going to go into that necessarily, but I know for a fact that marijuana is a strong alternative to opiates. So meaning, like, if you're on like Vicodin and whatever other crap you're getting prescribed, which is like pill-based heroin. That's what it is. It's pill-based heroin. If you're on that stuff, you can get off of it with marijuana, with edibles, with all the products that can be made from marijuana. And let me say one last thing about marijuana before I close this video out. Something you need to understand, which if you are one of these conservative people that is against marijuana, that's fine. But you need to understand that 99.9% of what you've been told about marijuana, and the reason marijuana is illegal in the first place, is all propaganda. It's all essentially lies and misinformation that was given out by the government and then repeated by government officials, teachers, parents, everyone. A lot of people who meant well, they were just taught the same load of lies, and they just perpetuated it. They just kept going. So yeah, let's legalize weed. So once again, if you haven't already, please subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the Sunday Sit Down talking about drugs. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I am Big Fast Jake on Instagram. I love you all, and I'll see you on Thursday. Peace.